Whoops.
Whoops.
Yeah. Okay, our next theory.
Now they call me Stumpy.
Yeah. So our next theory is suicide. I almost said suicide, but no, suicide. Apparently, as I mentioned before, Dave had some issues with depression. And of course, as we said, he attempted suicide not just a few years previously during his divorce. And so throwing yourself into a molten salt vat would definitely solve your problem if you wanted to kill yourself.
It would be a pretty horrible way to go, though.
It would be pretty awful.
I mean, we all saw Terminator. We saw how long it took Arnold.
Yeah, but he was a Terminator. I think a human being, it would be like a little quicker.
Hopefully.
I would think so as well, but
it would
still
be.
not fun for the little bit of time that it didn't.
Oh, good Lord, I couldn't imagine that.
Not that there's a good way to kill yourself, but that is not the good way to kill yourself.
Yeah, no. Well, you never know. It might be super quick. It might be that your nerve endings are shocked and they just stop working, and that you go into shock right away.
I hope.
If it were not 1984, we could look at Dave's computer and see if he did web searches on topics like, quote, how long does it take to die if you throw yourself into molten salt?
That would definitely settle the question.
Yeah, that would help a lot, but we can't do that. No web search is available. And I don't know, there's no record that he asked anybody. Say, if you fell into that, how long do you think it would take you to die? But I would think it would be over really quickly, but I still would rather just shoot myself personally. I think I would.
A whole bunch of other ways.
But on the other hand, I've seen cases where people have picked even more hideous ways to kill themselves than this. I mean, people like soak themselves in gasoline and light themselves on fire.
And who's that guy who has tied the rope around his neck and then accelerated the car? That was definitely
the Corvette.
Definitely killed himself that way. So
that'll do it. But
that was Britain.
Yeah,
it was in Britain. Yes.
Yeah, so there's worse ways, I guess, but it doesn't sound quite right to me. And on the other side of things, people have noticed that Dave had just bought a new lunchbox. So I mean, if you're going to kill yourself,
if that's a sign of stability, what isn't?
I know exactly.
Really.
I mean, obviously, he was planning for the future if he'd bought a new lunchbox, right?
We did actually get this feedback a little bit when we did the Moorgate tube crash, though, because we talked about evidence of him having cash for a new car in his pocket.
Yeah, he was going to go get something for his daughter.
Yeah, and there were a lot of people who kind of came out and said, in their understanding of people who commit suicide, oftentimes it's not like you wake up and say, "Yep, today's the day I'm going to kill myself." It just,
spur of the moment.
You just are like, "Oh yeah, here we go."
Maybe you've sort of been toying with the idea for a while, and it's one day for one reason or another, everything just kind of gels. You say, "Okay, now's the time."
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah,
could
maybe
be.
Something bad had happened with his supervisor, and he thought he was going to lose his job, and thought, "Well, I'll just jump into that pool instead of."
It could be.
I mean, just by providence of planning for the future doesn't necessarily mean that he wasn't planning on committing suicide.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good.
But I also agree. I don't think that he did. But hey.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who knows? There was some other stuff. His daughter, of course, said they were planning a vacation at some point. He'd paid all his bills and bought all the groceries and stuff, and. Again, as we said, it doesn't really mean much. I mean, if you could look at somebody as buying groceries for the family and paying all the bills, as sort of cleaning up all the loose ends.
Yeah.
Before he kills himself.
Easily, yeah.
Yeah. Planning a vacation doesn't really mean much. I mean, I don't know if that means serious planning or if you're just sort of vaguely talking about going to Disneyland or something. It's just we all talk about stuff like that. I mean,
sometime in the future conversations.
Hell, we've been planning on a European trip to solve mysteries in Europe for how long now?
4 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Still not happening.
No closer to actually.
I mean, still hasn't happened.
No, not likely. It might happen. Who knows?
No, because you're going to try and kill me.
As soon as somebody steps up and pays it. Okay, pays for it. Yeah. There would be one reason to do it I can think of. I would rather, again, go out in the woods with a shotgun and take care of business. But on the other hand, there would be opportunities at the plant at Fernald, lots of opportunities. And plus, if Dave had made it look like an accident, then he would leave his family a really nice opening for a lawsuit.
True.
So, and workers' comp and all kinds of stuff. But at the same time, Dave doesn't seem to have gone out of his way to make it look like an accident.
Why? I know we've said this before. Why go into that furnace? That place was known to be full of very corrosive acids to the point that they had a I suddenly cannot think of the name of the guy who replaces soles on shoes.
Cobbler.
Thank you. They had somebody on site who fixed shoes for the employees because there was so much acid on the ground, it ate through their work boots at an obscene rate. So they did this for people. Like,